The mural in One Piece chapter 1138 sends shockwaves through the fandom, introducing a cosmic narrative that could redefine the very foundation of the world itself, or the very foundation of the world's history. We've long speculated about the Void Century, the Ancient Kingdom, and the world government's rise to power. But the mural suggests an even grander timeline, one that spans 3 distinct worlds before the present age. At the heart of it all lies the First World, a time shrouded in mystery, depicted as a planet engulfed in flames, marked by the red line as the world-spanning serpent, and dominated by the Forbidden Star, an entity that humanity was never meant to touch. Right? To me, that is the eternal flame, not the mother flame. But what does that mean for the One Piece narrative? Is this the true origin of devil fruits? Was the red line artificially created? And most importantly, did the celestial dragon's ancestors destroy the First World to claim power? So, all these questions, we're just here to break it down. We're just breaking down the First World, and I call this a planet consumed by fire. The Harley text from chapter 1138 states, "The lines of the earth burned in eternal flame, and the hearts of men burned with desire." This description paints a picture of a world in turmoil, where fire was either a literal force of destruction or a metaphor for humanity's ambition leading to its downfall. The phrase "the lines of the earth" is especially critical, and could it be referring to the red line itself? Next, let's talk about the red line, a serpent that encircles the world, right? The mural seems to depict a serpent-like entity wrapping around the world, and if the red line is not a natural form or formation, but instead a living or artificially created structure, then it might be possible for the fracturing of the seas, right? This would explain why the legendary All Blue, which was first mentioned in episode 26 and One Piece chapter 56, the All Blue has never existed in the modern world. It was cut off when the red line split the oceans apart, right? The idea of the red line being born from fire is also intriguing. Could it have once been molten rocks that had hardened over time, or was it just a result of a great catastrophe that reshaped the planet? This brings us to one of the mural's biggest mysteries, which is the Forbidden Star. The mural suggests that the people of the First World reached the Forbidden Star, but what does that mean? There are several interpretations, right? And one would be that the Forbidden Star was a source of power, and that Forbidden Star might represent an ancient energy source, possibly related to the Mother Flame, which was introduced in One Piece chapter 1056. If the Forbidden Star was harnessed, could it have led to an uncontrollable destruction, much like what happened when the Mother Flame was unleashed? Right. The next one would be that the Forbidden Star created devil fruits. This idea that devil fruits come from wishes and desires has been hinted at multiple times. So if people in the First World reached for the Forbidden Star, could it have altered nature itself, giving birth to the first ever devil fruits? This theory or idea lines up with the sun god, which was mentioned in 1018 or episode 1041, where being a legendary force that granted power to those in need. This brings us to a key parallel, which is the biblical story of the Tower of Babel. Let's call it the First World's Fall, which is a biblical parallel to the Tower of Babel. What do you think? Do you think that is true? Anyway, the Forbidden Star could symbolize forbidden knowledge, just as the Tower of Babel symbolized mankind's attempts to reach the heavens. If humanity in the first world attempted to harness cosmic power, the god of the earth, Imu, if we assume, might have punished them by reshaping the world, dividing the continents, and creating the Red Line. This might also explain why Imu in chapter 908 and in episode 885 sits atop of the Red Line as the ruler of the world, because the Red Line was created by or for the celestial dragons as a tool for control. And this ties into another huge revelation, and that will be Noah and the Great Flood. The Noah and the Great Flood and humanity's escape of the flood, right? Now, we know Noah was introduced in Fishman Island in chapter 608 and in episode 529. And it was originally thought to be connected only to Fishman Island, but its appearance in the first world mural suggests otherwise, right? The fact that the Noah is depicted before the second world means it existed before the Void Century. If the Noah was originally created as an escape vessel, this suggests that the first world suffered a massive global flood, a catastrophe that wiped out civilization. But why did it fall? Could it be that Imu and the celestial dragons stopped the exodus? If the rulers of the first world saw the flood coming, it makes sense that they would try to escape the dying planet, right? This could explain why the mural shows a king on a boat, right? And was this Imu's ancestor leading a chosen few to survival while abandoning the rest? Or is it just people from Earth boarding the Noah? And was it a prison? Because one of the most fascinating theories is that the world itself was a prison, a massive, inescapable system of control. Now, the Red Line divides the seas, which prevents civilizations from uniting. The world governments erased the first world's true history, ensuring that no one could challenge their power. And now, the Forbidden Star's energy has been locked away, preventing anyone from gaining the knowledge and the power of the past. This would make One Piece not just a treasure, but a key to breaking the system. And that leads us to Sun God Nika versus the Red Line. Will that be the final battle? Because the mural strongly implies that the Sun God was the last hope of the first world's people. This lines up with Who's statement in chapter 1018 and in episode 1041, where he describes the enslaved people praying for Nika's return. Then we get to Luffy's awakening in chapter 1044 and in episode 1071. And now this awakening now carries even more weight, right? He isn't just Joy Boy. He's the successor to the first world's lost hero. If the first world's greatest enemy was the Grand Line, then it makes sense that Luffy's final task might be destroying the Red Line itself. What are my thoughts right now? The first world legacy shapes the future, and with each new revelation, it's becoming clear that One Piece is telling a far bigger story than we ever imagined. The Red Line was likely created to enslave the world, right? And the celestial dragons may be descendants of the first world rulers, and it's not even a maybe, right? Next, the Forbidden Star might be the key to restoring the world's natural order. And if Luffy is the Sun God, then his true purpose isn't just to find the One Piece. It's bringing back the first world's lost freedom. And with Imu watching from the shadows and the Holy Knights making their move in chapter 1086 and the world on the verge of collapse, we may be entering the final phase of the One Piece story. The first world's flames were extinguished long ago, but their will lives on in Luffy.